All right. So I guess now you understand what the plan was.
Absolutely. At Colts Law, we talk Indianapolis Colts football.
We're going to stick to what we know, fundamentals and technique, 1% better every day.
What's going on, Colts Nation? I'm Owen. With me, as usual, is my guy, Loyalist. And guess what? I hear there's a rumor that the Indianapolis Colts and the rest of the NFL are going to be looking at some college players over the next 3 days, starting tomorrow, possibly bringing them onto their team to hopefully help them out long term for their organizations. I think there's a word for that. It might be a 5-letter word. I'm not 100% sure, though. How excited are you for this weekend's draft there, Loyalist?
Well, I'll be honest with you. You sent that tweet out a few days ago saying that, this was the first draft where you just couldn't find yourself in it and stuff. And I told my wife, I'm like, well, at least I got enough excitement for the both of us. Because for me, this is the first one that I've actually taken and obviously because I'm on the channel, diving into it and learning a little bit about these guys and stuff more than just, what you hear from the periphery.
Oh, absolutely. Now, as you look at the title, of this video, this live stream, and I'm wanting to look at things, and I was discussing this with Gerard Powers and a few other guys over the last week, and the general consensus of fans and everybody is, either Ballard will stay put, grab what he wants, or he'll move back to grab what he wants. That's what he does in drafts, most generally, especially when he doesn't have a whole bunch already. This year might be different. And there's a reason for that. And I will put it out there. I think there's a 50-50 shot that Chris Ballard could legitimately make a trade to get up into the first round. Do you think that's plausible?
Plausible, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like, I don't think anybody should. Ballard is, if anything, has shown us that, he'll do anything and everything that makes the team better. So, yeah, plausible. But I am interested because I know as we got together, you told me, I think, there's more of a chance. So I'm like, okay, I can't wait to hear it.
All right. So in the past, Ballard has been all about building the team. Building, getting as many pieces as he possibly can to put the team together that he wants. Now, this past offseason, through free agency and all that, this hasn't been a building a team moves. These are win now moves that he has been putting together. Grabbing a quarterback that's late years, kind of like, the Matt Stafford situation that happened a year before. Speaking of which, I don't want to hear about Matt Ryan's age. He's only a year older than Stafford. Okay. The grab of the Yannick Ngakoue for the whole, pass rush that we've been needing so bad. Grabbing an extra cornerback, all pro bowler. Here's the deal. I think he's in win now mentality. I get that a lot of people think, well, we have all these. We don't actually have a whole lot of holes on this team. What we are lacking is high-end playmakers that are weapons. That's what we're lacking. And in my opinion, if someone falls late in the first that should not fall, that he thinks should be grabbed in the first 15, I think Ballard will either trade draft picks or even trade a player with draft picks to get back up into the first to get that major weapon for Matt Ryan. I think this is a situation where Ballard, I get it. We have weapons on wide receivers and tight ends and all that, But let's face it. He knows it. He said it. We need an infusion of high talent as well. He likes what he's got, but he obviously wants to add to it. This legitimately looks like a win now situation. You got to figure Matt Ryan's got 2, 3, 4 years for the Colts. So the window with Matt Ryan is small.
Yeah.
it's not like the rest of the team where we got all these extra guys, right, that are young. Whereas I feel like he's going to want to go out and get the guy that's going to be perfect for him and Reich to run in this system to make a surprise run for the Super Bowl this year. And I don't think that's going to happen. And if he sits at 42 or trades back, he'll be getting more picks, but it won't, they won't be at that high impact level that you expect them to be. I mean, you can get it, but it's rare for a wide receiver to drop later on in the second round. You get an occasional DK Metcalf or something like that, or Terry McLaurin, but that doesn't happen year after year. Usually guys, end up in the first round that are your high end guys. So this is a situation where, or even a tackle or a guard. I mean, I know, a lot of you like Pinter, a lot of you like Pryor, want to give him a shot, but hey, if you solidify that offensive line, that's just going to guarantee to help Matt Ryan have that little extra time to make even better plays. So I feel like this is a situation where Ballard could legitimately move up to get an impact player for this team. Another one to go along with the, 9 Pro Bowlers on this team currently. No, I'm sorry, 10. I forgot Matt Ryan.
Yeah, you can't do that. Now, my question is, though, okay, does a tackle fall into that category of playmaker? I mean, is that a position that you can see Ballard? I mean, you know me, I'm about the O-line, and I understand that the draft as far as pure left tackles is very limited, but I also can sit there and say that maybe, there's a left tackle, but I don't see a lot of them dropping from everything that we've heard, So I guess, do you think it's more likely that it would be for a wide receiver, or do you just really think whether it's Linderbaum at center or like I said, maybe Tyler Smith, who's really been getting a lot more.
The only way I think we grab a center is if Ryan Kelly's in the trade. You get what I'm saying? Like if he's moving up to say get a center in the draft, that pick, he will offer that trade as Ryan Kelly for that pick. And that would free up obviously some cap space in the process. I honestly, Kelly and Nelson work very, very well together. So I don't really think he's going to do that, because you're giving up a very good center who had a bit of a down year last year due to, injuries and COVID and stuff. Let's face it. But at the same time, a lot of the other offensive linemen had down years too because of the same situations. So, but as for other offensive linemen, yes, absolutely. I think that he you want to go out and grab guys that could be seriously impact the team for the next foreseeable future on a much cheaper deal than if you went out and got somebody, in free agency or something of that nature. So we don't have quality tackles on our team right now. We have a left tackle, one, on our team right now. One. Makes me wonder,
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, I guess the reason because going through all the mock drafts and stuff, and you look and you see Linderbaum is sort of the mid to, lower end of the first round. You said, like I said, Tyler Smith is another guy that's honestly a week and a half ago, if you take him what a lot of people were saying, he was going to be there right for the picking at 42. Now his momentum or the hype around him has gone up to where now that they're talking that he may be a late first round pick and stuff. And that's why I said offensive line, because honestly, it just seems like short of 2 or 3 wide receivers, you don't really have that guy that will be available at 31 or 28 or whatever.
Like I said, that someone would have to fall for a reason.
Yeah.
And let's face it, Ballard doesn't always grade people the same way we or others grade people, right?
Absolutely.
So I mean, we know this for a fact. So let's not realize he may trade up for someone and go, why did you trade up to get that dude? Right. But he might have him listed as a top 25 guy, whereas you might have him listed as a third rounder. Yeah. I mean, I'm not necessarily saying you, Loyalist. I'm just in general.
Right, the GMs that matter and stuff that are making the picks.
All the couch GMs out there. That's just how I see it. He would do that because that's what he would want to do. But yeah, I don't see. Appreciate you, LA Rams. I don't see him doing the trade backs because you trade back because you want to build a team and get depth, a lot of depth, and we don't need a whole lot of. He took care of a lot of that depth in free agency when it comes to the defensive back position. We've got plenty of D line. We're still a little shy on the offensive line. We're shy at tight end. We have a crap ton of depth at wide receiver, but yeah, none of it's proven. That's why I'm thinking offensive line, tight end, wide receiver, especially offensive line or wide receiver. Because tight ends, let's face it, you could grab really good F tight ends in the 4th, 5th, 6th rounds, if you know exactly what you're going for. And that's the kind of guy I think that the Colts will probably go after at tight end. So, especially this draft, because there's quite a few good tight ends in this draft.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just, we're not needing depth. We're needing an infusion of high-end talent. And if something slides, I think Ballard will pull that trigger. I think last year when Irsay said, hey, you like that dude? Go get him. Mm-hmm. Trust in your gut. Go get someone if you like him.
Yeah. And you watched him on the next pick. I mean, by the way, if you had a chance to see that, you guys need to check it out. It's, for me, it was the best episode of the year so far. And you see the passion and you see the back and forth from these guys and the push and pull on how they break these guys down. And I don't mean breaking them down as far as, oh, you stink and all that. But I mean, just, really diving into them and figuring out what their strengths and weaknesses are and stuff. I mean, I loved watching that episode. But the thing is, I remember Ballard saying that there was like 5 or 6 off the top of his head, which for his presser and stuff, that would be very interesting to see, how far does he move up? We're at 42 now. I'm thinking, 25 would be like the highest that you would see him move up. And then that would cost, your second and your third round easily, and probably a little bit more from what I'm gathering.
You probably need 2 seconds in order to move up. Well, this year's second, next year's second. We have 2 seconds next year to work with.
So you would use up some of next year's assets?
Yes.
You think
absolutely. Absolutely. Because right now, we're in a win now situation. Would I trade our first round pick for next year? No. Hell no. Not unless you're absolutely like a wide receiver, one of the top 3 guys dropped to number 20, and then you're like, all right, I will give next year's first plus this year's second to get up there and go get that sucker. That I would understand. But other than that, I agree with you. I think 25 is probably the limit.
Okay. Yeah. And boy, that's a crazy juggling match because, now you're talking about this year, but then you're also, like you said, also Matt Ryan, 37, 38 years old,
mm-hmm.
So man, what a balancing act the GMs have to do at this time of year.
Well, it is very, very impressive. But let's be fair. Ballard's been so impressive with the way he's able to just sit back and watch things happen in front of him, see what's going on, and get good fits for the team. And the draft is no different. He's always paid off to be patient, but again, he's made big moves. He's made big moves when he's been not just GM, but when he's been the head draft guy for other teams like Kansas. I mean, he was there for the Mahomes. He was there for Hill. You know, he is a guy who is big into doing massive moves to go get people. All right. So don't think that he won't do that just because he's never done it with the Colts. Okay. He's done it in the past or has been part of it, you know, where he pushed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's in his blood. He hasn't had to do it. He's had to build a different way up to this point. He's had to build a team from scratch and build a team and build a team. He's built his team. He just one or two guys away from going, this is a Super Bowl team now, you know? So if he goes and gets that one or two guy this year, you'll know how he feels about the team. If he moves up to get somebody, you'll know how he feels about this team.
Oh, absolutely. And I would even if he traded back, I think that his mindset, you know, like you said, how he feels about this team, he's made that pretty clear with the stuff that he's done already this year, you know.
Actions speak louder than words, though.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying.
With the whole
with Ngakoue and with Matt Ryan, I feel like those actions have already said a lot. You know, I mean,
and
the
Gilmore.
fact that and the fact that they got rid of Wentz without any successor, and I mean that just screamed that, you know what, you know, this team is too close. And we talked about it last week, you know, in our live. You know, these guys are in the prime of their lives. You know, some of them are just, you know, opening that door, like the Quentin Nelsons and the Darius Leonards. They're just starting to enter that door. But then you look at the Ryan Kellys and stuff. These guys are in the full meat of their prime right now.
Yep. All right, guys. I want to take a moment and say, hey, please smash that like button before you forget later. All right. Smash that like button. Helps out with the analytics. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. We're over at 2,300, 2,330, somewhere around in that general vicinity. I would like to get to 3,000 before the season starts. So please help us out with that by using the share button. Share it to your favorite social media. And honestly, I think we're kind of done talking about the whole thing that, you know, what this was about. So it's about that time where I'm going to say, let's go over there to those comments and see what that looks like. Shall we? What's up, Daryl? Appreciate you being in here. Whoa. Jameson Williams. Okay.
See, there again, I mean, that would have to be like a Aaron Rodgers type of slide for him to even come into the trade up range for that.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, you know, drops down to 15. That's when I would do it. You know, that's when I'd be like, all right, here's here's, you know, next year's second, this year's second, you know, and maybe a player to get up there. Well, at that point, next year's first and this year's second to get up there. Yeah. Because simple fact. I mean, come on now. I would give up a lot to get certain specific guys. Larry Brown's in here. What's up? Appreciate you being in here. Toxic Tommy. Guys, if you want to drop some comments, feel free. We'll look at them, discuss them. If you want to make sure that your comment is actually grabbed by us, make sure you either use the YouTube super chat or the link in the description of this video for a donation, and that will definitely come up then. So thank you so much. What's this say? Or Toxic says, if Ballard thought his hair knew his plans, he'd shave it off. That's about right. That's about right. I mean, Ballard, ever since that leak with Andrew Luck, you ain't heard jack or squat about leaks from the Indianapolis Colts. You don't know what's happening beforehand, period, until the day of or the day before, you know. Colton, no one's expecting a trade up. Therefore, Ballard will probably trade up.
Exactly.
I kind of expect it, honestly. And I've laid down why, you know. So, but most people say no.
Right? Yeah, because I like I said, I know Brandon and Joe, and when we're sitting there and we're talking about it, we're like, yeah, we're trying to trade back. We're trying to find ways to trade back and thinking about how hard it'll be, you know.
I don't think the Colts draft a quarterback until after the 4th round. So Ritter's not lasting that long.
No.
I don't think so. I don't think the Colts. I think the Colts are looking for specific things. It's not like we have to really worry too much about Matt Ryan missing time due to injury. Okay, uh, he's missed 3 games in 14 years. Now, there you go. All right,
Yeah.
'cause I know a lot of you are a little. I'm not that way, but I know a lot of you are. So there
Hey,
you go.
we're safe. He didn't go to Ohio State, so we're already
Amen to that one. Amen to that one. I think this draft also determines whether or not TY will be back this season. The way I was talking, I don't know if you saw my interview with Kylan Granson yesterday that I posted, but Granson was talking like TY wasn't coming back. Did you hear about that? Did you see that part where we
Yeah.
were talking and he was like, Doyle not here, TY, we're gonna miss both those guys. The
Yeah.
way he was talking, it sounded like TY most likely wasn't coming back. Now, who knows? It might just be him going at this time. That's why I feel.
Yeah,
But
because it could just simply be like he's not there now. So, that's like you said. Because let's be honest, he probably knows about as well as we do what Ballard's actually going to do and stuff in his roster building.
absolutely. Yeah, Mr. J567. Yeah. I honestly think that Carson Wentz will last a year. Okay. All he's got to do is hit basically the exact same mark that we hit with him, and it's a second rounder over than the third rounder. But still walking through here talking. Much appreciation. I appreciate you, Daryl. Thank you so much.
Try this one out. Here, Ballard has proven himself as a talent evaluator, but yet the jury is still out on his talent at being a team builder. And he says the results have not reflected the talent level at this time. This is a critical year. And I will sit there and say, how are you measuring team building? Okay, because for me, I look at this roster and I understand that they fell flat last year. And if you're just measuring it on how productive they are in the playoffs and stuff, see, to me, I look at the roster and the positions and who he's got in here in the youth and stuff. And honestly, I feel like this team is starting to mature and starting to blossom or develop into that mature, deep running team at a very similar time. And that's why I have a little pushback with this roster building. I understand if you're just measuring it on playoff wins and stuff, that yes, that is not there where you think it would be. But I would also sit there and say that this team, it wasn't the roster that fell short last year. I would say that there was more productivity and stuff in the individual players that was the problem more so than the roster.
Yeah. When we played, other than the Raiders and Seattle, which now that I look at it, can't really put Seattle in that picture because they weren't a good team last year. Whenever we played a good team, other than the Raiders, we played them tough. We either beat them or it came down to the last play of the game, right? Every time we played a top-notch team, whether it was, Niners, we beat them. The Rams came down to basically the last play of the game. Cardinals, we beat them. The Bills, we beat them. The Patriots, they were a playoff team. We beat them, right? The Titans, both games was close. Whenever we played the Ravens, basically last play of the game, right? Because it was overtime. So whenever we played good teams, we played tough. We need a situation where we continue to play that tough when we play against weaker teams. That's how I see it. I think we let our guard down last year against some of the other teams. So I think they put together a really good team, a lot of really good locker room guys. But there were situations last year for some of the games. Colton talking about Wentz's situation last year. I see that. He says Abraham Lucas, a left tackle from Washington State, would be a good pick in the 3rd or 4th round. Well, Larry, again, maybe.
Yeah, but see there again. I mean, I understand that he played, left tackle, but the thing is he's measuring out as a right tackle in the NFL. You know what I mean? He's, that's where a lot of these people right tackle or interior offensive linemen. I mean, I'll tell you right now, the name I'm looking at for left tackle, and I've done a deeper dive into it since Brandon brought him to my attention, was Tyler Smith. Sorry. This kid is massive. He's from a school that's, not getting all the hype until, like I said, this last week or so. I think he took, like, in PFF ranking, I think he jumped like one of the largest jumps in their, how they give you the beginning of their rankings, and then like 3 days before the draft, they give you their updated rankings. He's made a massive leap. You're starting to see him mocked to a lot more late 1st round picks and stuff. So that's the one I'm really very intrigued to pay attention and see if he falls to us.
Talks about he thinks that the Ballard could trade up in front of the Bears in the 2nd in order to get Sky. What do you think about that?
Well, and then there again, that was Sky Moore. My big fear with him, like I said last live, was he's got a drop history. He just, that the ball's like, oh, I got it. And then whether he's turning too early to make a move up the field. I'm not sitting there saying that this kid isn't a good player or won't have a good career. What I'm saying, though, is I just don't know that for me, he's one of those guys that I move up for.
Well,
but there again, like we said, Ballard has his own board and stuff that he didn't check with me on it.
Yeah, I do. You know what's funny? All right, John talking about, Ritter being in the 2nd. Wouldn't be surprised if he goes in the 1st. I wouldn't either. I wouldn't be surprised. This is one of those situations. Teams are going to really reach. Really, really reach. My group, the Believe Podcast Network, today had a mock draft for each team, each group of people that covers, goes through and picks for their team, which means I was out of it because I don't have a 1st round pick, and they weren't allowing trades. So otherwise it would have been done. But the Panthers picked Willis. Bam. Yeah. Early on. What was that, like the 6th pick? I mean, come on. But I don't think there's any quarterback in this draft worth a top 10 pick. But teams are going to reach, and it's going to happen. So,
yeah, and there's still so many outside of the draft interesting pieces. Like, does Deebo Samuel, does something happen with him through the draft and stuff? Do the Jets sit there and give up? Because you hear rumors about this massive package that they're going to offer the 49ers. Once again, that's something that's not going to be solved until draft night. But so there is a lot of outside things that you have to look at, as well as just the talent in front of you.
It was reported that the Niners turned down an offer of the 4th and the 10th pick together for Deebo. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's why would that? I mean, okay. I love Deebo.
If I'm John Lynch, I'm like, howdy.
Yeah. I mean,
there's a slim chance that Aiden might drop, to the 4th pick. Shit. I'll take Hutchinson if he drops to the 4th number. I mean, it probably won't happen, but there's a slim chance it will.
Yeah. I just don't. I would not understand why, if you have a player that is disgruntled and you've got a team offering you 2 shots at the top 10,
right?
I mean, why? I mean, and I understand you don't want to give them up, but you're not giving him up. You know, I mean, you're running to that podium going, just one of these guys have to hit and we'll be okay.
Yeah, right. See, this is the situation, Colton. He says, I'd rather have one game changer than two solid pieces. And right now we have an ass ton. Sorry for my extra French there. But we have a lot of solid pieces. We need another game changer. And that's why I think the Colts could move up to get that if it shows itself. Still moving down. Zach, appreciate you, my guy. Thank you so much. What would surprise you the most on Friday? Dan got the plan. This is an interesting question. I'm going to leave it up to my man to give his answer first.
And I'll be honest, I know what you're saying and everything, but I'm still of the mind that if the Colts were to trade up and move into a Thursday pick, I would still sit there and find that to be a very surprising move. But there again, that's because I don't see nearly as much talent dropping because the quarterback field being so diluted down and stuff. And then the fact that you've got 7 teams that don't even have a first round draft pick this year, and you've got 8 teams, I think, that have multiple first round draft picks. So it's this for me is going to be one of the more, even though the Colts don't have that first round pick, I'm really super stoked to sit there and see how this first day pans out.
I would be most surprised if he stays at 42, whether he doesn't trade up or trade back. For him to stay at 42, I think would be very, very surprising to me at this point in time. Because if he's that comfortable to sit and wait and pick at 42, he probably could wait a little bit longer to pick the guy he wants at that point because of the way he groups his players. 42 is at that weird spot in his draft where that line is at 40 and then it's regrouped. So if there's a guy who falls even to like 35, I see him moving up to get him, because of that situation. But if it gets to 42, I expect him to end up going, I'm going to trade back. I don't think he's picking at number 42. So that's what I would be most surprised at.
Okay.
Olaf.
Could you see Ballard trading for any player for a pick?
I just said that.
Yeah, but I'm wondering, I want to take this and sort of flip it a little bit. Do you see Ballard trading a pick for any player? A la, Defoe or something? Do you think?
Honestly, no, because do you honestly think he wouldn't have rather gave a pick away than Rock Ya-Sin?
Okay, but that wasn't on the table. What I'm saying is now you get in the draft, you find yourself in this spot, do you see that in there again? I think this would be more of a.
Who would he trade though? See, that's the problem. Okay.
No, I'm saying you trade the pick for a player, so hypothetically, and I'm not, but Bradbury, okay, you sit there and you say, okay, look, I'll give you my third or maybe your second for a cornerback or something that's already been in the league. That's what I'm wondering. Because you did answer this question.
Yes, I did. That would be something I would think would happen beforehand. Like today would be the deadline for that. I don't think that he would trade away a pick because he likes drafting so much. I think it would have to happen today rather than tomorrow. I mean, could it happen? It's possible. There might be a guy out there that, he wants he thinks has proven themselves enough to get here. I mean, but the question is, would a team be willing to come off of them? You're looking at what if Washington grabs a wide receiver and gets one of the top 3 somehow, would they be willing to come off of a certain somebody for a second round pick?
Rhymes was scary.
Right? Then that might roll off. But otherwise, it would have to be someone still incredibly young that hasn't reached their first, contract extension yet and proven enough to where he believes they would make a major impact on the team. Not just, he wouldn't do it for just a depth piece, I don't think, or just a solid player,
right?
So that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, because you would also want to sit there and find a player that, does he fit contractually and stuff. Also, there's a lot more that involves there.
Yeah. See, TY, it's kind of weird. He's like 400 yards away from getting 10,000 yards. I don't know if that matters to him as much as it does winning a Super Bowl right now. And I think a lot of TY is going to happen, will or will not happen due to what happens over the next 3 days. That's my thought process. If Ballard grabs a couple wide receivers in this draft that seem to be very, very solid, like early, or gets trades up and gets one, I don't see TY coming back. I don't. Because we have Reggie Wayne. That's the issue. You bring TY back because of his leadership, but Reggie is a player coach, and that's a big deal. Especially with the respect that player coach has. So I wouldn't mind bringing TY back. It just depends upon how this draft ends up pulling out as well.
Yeah, and that may be, you talk about Reggie and stuff, and I wonder, okay, how would that work? Does Reggie being here, is that something that excites TY and makes him want to be here more? Or is he more of we've already been there, done that, and it's just something that, I like where our friendship is. I'd rather just go and, not, because, let's be honest, when you're out there coaching a guy, it's totally different than when you're just out there being buddies out on the field, gassing it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. All right, guys. It's 40 minutes in. Are you seeing anything down here? I'm still kind of scrolling through here.
No, I just I don't know why. Let's see. Go ahead.
I agree with you 115%, Nomadic Brian. Hope we leveled up enough to kind of tilt that close game thing into our favor. Honestly, that situation is, I think we got it. I think we got it good. It's the 3 positions that was most important, right? Coverage, someone to take away a number 1 receiver, pass rush, because we were lacking pass rush late in games. And then, of course, the quarterback position, which obviously you can't get away with that. Whoa, hold on. I got to pause for a station identification because Colts 304 donated $20 through the super chat. Says, for your TV fund, what position do you think we draft first, tackle or corner? Well, Colts 304, I appreciate the $20 donation. Thank you so much. Those of you who want to do that as well, you're able to use the YouTube super chat or the link in the description. If you use the link in the description, more of that money comes to us rather than half of it going to YouTube, but I appreciate it. Thank you. Now with the question, what position do you think we draft first, tackle or corner? I'm going tackle, 110%. I think we're definitely, because like I said, we only have 1 left tackle on the team. All right. We got a few right tackles on the team. We have 1 left tackle. And if he doesn't play well or gets hurt, we're in some serious deep crap. Okay. Some doo-doo that needs to be flushed. And we won't have no water to replace it. So, yeah, tackle by far. I know that our depth at cornerback is not perfect, but it's a whole lot better than it is at tackle.
Yeah. And here from Colton Lombardo also, it says, did Ballard leave 10 million cap space just in case he trades up into the first round, or just to count for the salary differential maybe?
Okay, so he $10 million is enough to get a play. Okay, so first off, the Colts will need $6 million, a little over $6 million to cover all the draft picks this year. That's not including a first round pick. So that right there, you got to have that just in case. Also, that leaves a little bit of extra room because obviously he's going to be picking some free agents afterwards to fill up the rest of the 90-man roster that he has to fill up before training camp hits, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why he still has $10 million.
Yeah,
I would expect him actually to free up a little bit more.
Yeah, and to your point, you were talking about the tackles. Remember how we dealt with the tackle position last year? We sat there and didn't find the fit in the draft and stuff, so then we had to turn around and look over at Fisher. Well, I would argue that there's a couple guys still out there that that are still possibly of that same ilk. You've got Dwayne Brown and you've got Peterson, or so there's some older tackles that have proven themselves in the league that you could take and offer a little extra incentive and possibly have to fill that put the Band-Aid on it, as Ballard said.
Yeah, absolutely. What's up, Truett? Appreciate you being in here. IU Hendershot. There's a tight end called
tight end out of IU. His last name's Hendershot.
That's what I assume. I don't know.
Yeah, like I said, as far as the tight ends go, I would sit there and say that if you're going to go for a Hendershot, you're probably just going to wait and get somebody UDFA. I would say that there is a few names, Jelani Woods, you got the Jake Ferguson, you got the guy out of Wisconsin. There are some names in there that I can see being drafted, but let's remember, the majority of the productive tight ends that the Colts have had have been undrafted free agents. Jack Doyle, Mo Alley-Cox, these guys are coming to us not through the normal draft process.
Don't forget the Colts held their local pro day and had two guys that were at the Senior Bowl at that, as you saw probably if you watched the latest episode. I know that Loyalist has, because he's smiling as I said it. Mm-hmm. So there is that as well. Don't forget, UDFAs are a big deal, and since the local pro days were held at the Colts complex, they have a little bit more insight on some of these guys than others. Maybe there's a couple of them that will, shine forth, especially guys that show up at a Senior Bowl, right? So we'll see how that works out. Colton says that our projected cap space next year is crazy high. Yes, but it's also the fact that we don't have very many people currently on our roster. I mean, we have like 20 people that's currently on our roster that's on there for next year, right? Mm-hmm. So the same situation. Everybody's like, oh, we had so much cap space this year. It's because we only had 28 people on our roster. All right.
Not to mention any team that was fiscally responsible and stuff next year, their cap space is just going to be massive, because that's when all that new money first starts to roll in and stuff,
Exactly. And, it's, people will say Ballard don't spend his money. He spends his money. There was only 1 year in the 5 years that he's been here that he did not spend all of it up to $10 million and then rolled that over to next year, right? And you can do that. You could roll over, a quarter of your cap space to the next year and use it that way. Anything more than a quarter, the NFL splits it up and hands it out to the players. Their percentages broke up as to snap percentages. So it's not like he's keeping the cash. It gets paid the players. Okay. So I'm just letting you know that. It's not like he's like pocketing it and being like, ooh, I got extra money. He's just being responsible with it.
I got this one here real quick. It's Colton says the cap is a myth. It's only a myth if your GM treats it as such. And we
Right.
all know that Ballard treats this thing as it's the holy grail. So, it's real to the Colts. Let's put it that way.
John Gilbert talking about we just got the guy from the Titans.
Kemp. Brandon Kemp. See, and I think he is a left tackle also. I know you keep saying we only have one.
I think he's a swing. Okay. I don't think he's a dedicated. Okay. That's the thing.
I don't know his arm length and stuff. I just know that his height, he's freakishly large.
Yes. But I think it was I don't know if he actually, did we sign him or was it just a visit?
No, Brandon Kemp was the one we signed a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
Came off the practice squad of the Titans.
Yeah, but it was like I said, he's a swing tackle. So
yeah, and that the tackle that just visited was out of Green Bay, I think it is, and we haven't heard whether he was signed yet or not. At least I haven't.
Okay, so he says people talk about how the cap's going to explode every year. I'll believe it when I see it. Here's the thing. Okay, so the cap space was actually held back the last 2 years, last year and this year, due to COVID. All right. It was knocked off 10%. Right. So I think last year, like $8 million a year. I think it was being knocked off for 3 years in a row to make up for the lost revenue from the COVID season. But in 2023 is when the new TV money comes in, ad money and TV money. So it is supposed to go up by a chunk, and then we're not going to have to worry about that money from the COVID season being on there. So it's going to look like it even jumps bigger, but it's not technically.
And if I'm not mistaken, the amount of money that they actually broke it up over like the next 2 years, didn't they? As far as how much in other words, they're not taking all this contract money and throwing it in and the 2023 salary cap. You know what I mean? I think 2023 we're expecting a sizable spike, and then I think also 24 we are expecting a sizable spike.
Yeah, because one is TV money, one is ad money. So
the streaming and all that.
Yeah. Guys, we made it to the end. We made it all the way to the end of the chat. I don't see any more after that last one I just posted. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Please smash that like button. Hit subscribe if you're not subscribed. Tag that notification bell so that you are notified next time we go live or upload a video. Guys, I'm going to drop one in here real quick just because, hey, I'm telling you, any Colts fans out there, any NFL fans, they have these great canvas pieces for every team in the NFL, but they got a lot of good Colts ones. This was mine that was specifically made for me. That design was designed, I chose that design. So, and you can get that specific one at the Backroom Collection. This channel is proudly sponsored by the Backroom Collection. They do beautiful sports canvas art with football, basketball, baseball, and other sports themes. Special orders are accepted and autograph pieces are available. Many Indianapolis Colts sign pieces will be available beginning in November. Just use your discount code CL10 to purchase the pieces you want to spice up your living area. That's CL10. Yes, I feel a draft coming on. It'll be starting tomorrow, 8 p.m. I believe it's 8 p.m.
Get you one of these, Tommy. These things kill the draft quite well.
Speaking of which, the guy just picked up his stuff.
JDW?
Yes. Yep, JDW just got his t-shirt, said it was awesome. So thank you for picking that up. And guys, I think that's going to do it for us. Thanks a lot. And we will see you tomorrow to start the draft. And as usual, I'm Lawrence Owen. That's Colts Loyalist. And as usual, Have a good one.
Just because a player's not a household name doesn't mean we can't make him a household name.
I need help deciding who to pick in the first round tomorrow. I am trading up, I'm telling you.